In today's video, I'm going to show you a new addition to your strip cards. I just keep coming up with new ideas because I love to experiment and try new things. And I like to play with paper. But the premise for this project was, once again, using up my scraps. I keep a basket of leftover papers from previous projects. The papers are grouped and paper clipped by color coordination. I want to use them up, so when I feel like playing with paper, I look through them and choose a small collection to finish off. Today, it was gold and black, which I decided to combine with my bee papers, because usually there's not enough in them to make a card collection, so I'll add a few papers, and usually I only need to cut like 1 or 2 strips. I had a lot of fun making this collection of cards. In this video, I will demonstrate how to draw Winnie-the-Pooh, how to draw a honey pot, and how to draw a beehive, and a couple of ways to make bees without a stamp or a die cut. Okay, I am making more of my favorite style of a card with my diagonal 1-inch strips, and making them on scrap paper, which is a paper that's just cut into quarters. They need to be trimmed down. I always make them this size because you always need to cut them down. Probably most of you know how to cut your card down. But as I assess, cutting it, now my lines may not be straight because I hand cut them, but I need to get them straight, and that's what I'm going to be doing now. I do need to look, see this right here? Here is a tiny little triangle right there. I want to try, why does a cat always have to get in my picture? I don't want to cut that completely off. So that's the first side I'm going to cut because I want to try to save that little triangle if possible. So let me just straighten up this side. Now that I've got a straight side, I'm going to put that side against this so that I can keep it straight. And I'm just going to trim off a little bit at first. Now I've got 2 straight sides that are right angles, and my card base needs to be 5 1/4. So I put it at 5 1/4. Let me explain why it needs to be 5 1/4. When I cut it, I want it to fit my card base, which is 4 1/2 by 5 1/2. And I want this little frame around the edge because it's just a nice finishing touch. So that's why I need to cut it down. So I put this at 5 1/4, and I decide, is this okay? If I put this at 5 1/4, that's going to cut off that much. I preserved that little triangle. This looks okay. It's going to make this triangle a little bit smaller, but I think it's okay. I'm going to do a couple of these cards. All right, now the card needs to be 4 inches wide. This is the side that's not straight. Now, if I put it here, I look at, this is going to cut this triangle right here to really, really small. It'll make it super small. I already have a really small triangle right there. Do I want to do it that way? I could actually cut off more off this side. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep this, make this a little bit bigger. And cat, your tail could get chopped off if you put it in the wrong place. Oh dear. The problems of having a cat. Okay, I'm going to try really hard not to cut my cat's tail off. Dear, she's making me nervous. Oh, now my handle came off. Okay, it's still too wide, but I wanted to have more of this triangle right here. So this side I'm going to put it at 4, and I will cut off the rest of this. I'm doing this. Oh my goodness. Cat, you don't realize the danger you have put yourself in. All right, let's do another one. All right, here I got a good size there. This one's very small on this end. These are not too bad. That's our smallest one, so that's the side I'm going to trim first. So if I can preserve that, hold on, let me just look. If I were to cut that off, it'll be right at 5 1/4. It might be completely gone. I could lose that. I kind of like that little black spot right there. All right, I've decided I want that black spot. So I try to put this on here roughly straight. Good. I have preserved that little black corner. And now we'll cut off a tiny bit off the side because I have a okay, 5 1/4. That's going to cut this little yellow one, but that's okay. That one's all right. I can get rid of that. That's a less important one. This is fine. Okay, so now 4 inch, and that's going to make that side a little small. I could balance it out. I could take off a tiny bit more off the side, and then I could have a little bit more of that. So I think I will. I'll take off a tiny bit off this side, and then we put this on 4, and there. Now these are, well, this is a little bit bigger than that, but that's fine. At least it's not just a tiny smidgen, you know. This is okay. It's kind of small, but if it were like just a tiny dot, we wouldn't want that. So those are the kind of things that we try to avoid when we are trimming our cards. Now, one more to do, because every card is different. And the smallest triangle I have is this one. So I will trim that side first, taking off only a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to take off just a little bit because I'm looking at this small triangle. That's when I always look at the really small triangles. All right, now put it on 4. Everything over here is pretty big, so that one's a little bit, okay, that's okay. That's all right. It's not a bad size right there. And 5 1/4. And I don't see any issues except a cattail. Okay. There. Now, let's put this away. I don't know if you guys are as nervous as I am. I was worried I was going to cut my cat's tail off. All right. I do not know what color base. I know that black is going to look fantastic. Now, I do not have this same color yellow, so I want to kind of lay this on here. Will it work? Yay or nay? Maybe. It's a little bright. All right, let's try this one. It's a little more orange. Well, maybe when I use, okay, this doesn't look too bad. Let's try that one. That one, it's not perfect, but it could work. All right, I know black will work. And of course, white always works with everything. White and black because they're neutral. Okay, I may do some on each of the cards to see how they look. But we have to decide what is going to go on which card. But I'm not going to put them on the cards yet because I want to do something else. I've got a couple of ideas here. That is strewing the trash all over the place. I need to clean up. Okay, these cards have little bees on them and the little shape of honeycombs. And so I want to do something with a design with a bee or multiple bees on the card. So aren't they cute? They have some of them have gold accents. I just love the color combination. Some of them are black bees, some are honeycombs, and some gold bees. I just think they'll be cute. So I'm going to have to create a bee. I don't have a bee stamp, and I don't have a bee die cut, so I'm going to have to create a bee, and I'll show you how. And I've got a few ideas how to use these strip cards a little bit different than I normally do. So let's just take one. Now, normally, what I do with these cards is I take this and I cut out a little window, but I have another idea. I was wondering if it would be a cool idea to have like a little window inside and have that be whatever the color of the card base is, so that I can have some bees like on the frame, kind of overlapping, or maybe just inside. And then I could do something different with the very center of it. So it's just a thought, just an idea, and I'm going to see about this. So what I want to do here is I'm going to tape these together. We'll use some washi tape because it's low tack. I guess doing it that way would help hold it together. I'm going to try to center this. Okay. Maybe it's not perfect. Let's adjust it. All right. We'll just tape it on there, and we will run this through the die cut machine. My handle keeps falling off because the screw keeps falling out. Does anybody else have that problem? I don't know where my screw is. It probably fell on the floor somewhere. My cats probably thought it was a toy and started playing with it. So I have to put my handle on and crank it without the screw and hope I don't accidentally knock it off. I just want to make sure that cuts good, so I'm going to go back through. So let's see what this is going to look like. Because it's just a thought. I leave this out. And I put this on. And here are two darling cards. This came from here and that piece came from there. So I was able to make two cards out of the same card base. And I decided to put a white background. I did get it slightly crooked here. I used this stamp. And to get that, I liked that it said, "Thanks for being you," but I wanted the B to be in place of the B. So I used my marker and I just colored the word thanks and stamped thanks. Then I washed it and I colored the word for and stamped it and left space for the B, and then I washed it and stamped the ing, washed it, colored just the U, Y-O-U, and I stamped it, and then I glued the B on. And that's how I created this middle, because I just wanted to use the whole idea of the bee, because we have honeycomb and bees on this paper. And that's why I want, you have these right here. So I went through my stamps to see which ones had the word bee in it somehow, even though it's not the right bee. And then for this more plainer card, I fussy cut little bees and glued them on the frame in different directions. And then I used a pencil line to make a little path that the bees went on. And then I used my fine point marker to make a dotted line. And then I went in with an eraser and erased the pencil line. And I think that looks cute. And I can leave the middle just like that. Only thing is, I wish that was upright, but it's okay. It's okay. So I got two cards out of one space. So that's cool. That's really cool. So like I would take a card like this and I would cut that out to get the different frames. So this is what I did with the frames. And I am loving it. Now I'm going to play with my other colors because I have some that are not black and white. I think I like the black and white best. But I am going to play with these. And this was the original idea that I had, yellow and black. So now I'm going to see what I can do with these two cards. And to make some bees, I pulled out some scraps from my small scrap bin. This is the first place I go when I need bits and pieces of small papers. So these are the colors I picked up that I think I could use. Let's see what we can make with them. I took Winnie-the-Pooh and a jar of honey out of the book. Just so there's no question what it is. Now, that has a blue top, but I don't think if I colored blue on this it would show up. So I'm just going to use a different color to shade at the bottom. You can color the pot whatever color you want. Red might be a nice color, even on this color paper. Always test on a scrap to see if the color will work. Okay. And I wanted to just darken the left side just because I'm going to be cutting it out. So I want a little darker edge. Alright. Now when I cut it out, let's see. Oh, that's a really big pot. But he'll like it. He'll like it. I could use it separately, or I could use them together. However I decide to use it. So we just borrowed some designs from a children's book. Here I'm trying to decide which color for the backdrop, white or black. If I were making this card for a child, I'd probably choose white. Might even do a little watercolor painting of the ground so Pooh could sit on the grass. But I have decided to choose black because I am making this card for my husband as a Valentine's card. My nickname for him is Honey. I like the way Pooh is sitting inside the window frame with his legs over the edge, making bees. I looked through all of my dies to see what shapes I had that might work to make a good size bee. I found these gift card tag dies and I like the size of the circle inside this camera. I cut yellow strips to glue onto the black base for the bee. This is going to be a bee tail, and I want a little bit of a stinger, so I'm going to kind of cut it narrow and leave a little point. Now that ain't much of a point. Okay, there. Now we have a point for a bee stinger. And then on this piece, I want to cut some rings. So I'm just going to draw some pencil lines on a curve. Now, I know the stripes might be big, but I am going to cut them. I'm going to cut them off. So I just need to have some stripes on here. And I'm just going to center them. And then I will trim them off to make them fit our little bee. And I would like them back towards here. Right, where'd my circle go? And this is going to be the head. I think that size is pretty good. And then we'll just turn it over and we'll trim off the little yellow stripes so that they fit the bee. We have a bee body. Isn't that cute? Now for the wings, I'm just going to draw some little ovals. They don't have to be perfect. That size looks pretty good, actually. I think I'll use this as my pattern. And we'll just cut out two little ovals. They do not have to be a perfect shape. But I want them to both be the same, so this shape I will use to make another. The first bee I made was a little big. I tried to use something else to cut the wings, but I didn't have the perfect oval shape that I wanted. Now, to make these look like, that's got pencil lines, so I'll flip it over. To make them look like wings, we'll take a fine black, fine point. We'll just draw some veins, just so it kind of looks like vein-shaped wings. And then we glue them on. I'll put it on here so you can see better. We'll put a little wing there. Now, you could outline them if you feel like they need to be outlined, and I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. Whoops, did I not put glue on that? Okay, we have a bee. I played around with these Actually, let me do this. Let me put it on a piece of colored paper. See, I had done the first one. I felt like his wings were a little big. And this is a little bit, it doesn't matter. You can have bees of different sizes. Let's see, which one do I like best? These wings might be too small. These are too big. These are okay, but I feel like they could be a little smaller. So I'll just play with it until I perfect it. But you know what? I'll probably use those anyway. A different shade of yellow. So I want to do some in this color. This reminds me of the color of a honeycomb. So I want to make a honeycomb because I might use that on one of the cards as well. But that's how you make a bee. And if you want, I mean, you can put a little edging around so that they stand out just a little bit more. You can do that. I just run the edge on the edge of the marker. That way it stands out if you need more contrast. It really depends on what background you're going to be using it on. Later, I made a smaller bee and just made my own template to trace. I know these are not honeybees, but the black and yellow is iconic for a bee and very cute. The only other bees I had were, oops, there's the cat, were this paper here. And I am using some of these little bees. I'm just fussy cutting them out. Wanting to stamp just the word birthday. So I used my marker to color that word only to create my own message. I like to make a trail for the bees. They never seem to fly in a straight row, so I make their trails kind of curvy. Draw a honeycomb. We need a rounded bottom, and we'll start with 2 straight sides, and then find the center, and then we're just going to kind of round so it kind of looks like a thimble or top of a silo. This is the shape we have. Now I'm going to divide it into sections. We want every line to be curved to follow the curve of the bottom. Okay, now I want to round each section. Okay, and then we need to have a little, maybe a little bit bigger bee hole. And then we'll go over it with marker. And I did this in the same, I don't know what color the paper is. Maybe the paper's called cinnamon, but it looks like the color of honey. After the pencil sketch, I outline with a marker, then I bring in some shadows with a bit of color. I'm using cinnamon color marker. I tend to place my shadows on the left. I'm not sure why. I guess that's my default mode. Since the shadows are on the left, I use a thick black marker to outline only the shadow side of the object. Winnie-the-Pooh, some honey, a honeycomb to go with our bees. This would be cute on a children's card, and it wasn't too hard to do. Here is one of my cards with a sentiment in the center window, and here is one with a beehive. I look through all of my sentiments to see which ones I might be able to use with a bee, especially if it had a B or the letters BE in it, like be happy. You can get creative and compose your own cards with whatever stamp sentiments you have. I played with them to come up with more bee sentiments. After playing with these cards for a couple of days, I figured out the best way to remove the frame cutouts without messing up the taped arrangement. While working this project, I kept the grouping taped on the inside cover of the case so I don't have to reassemble each time. I had other projects going on at the same time that I was making these cards, so I kind of worked on it a little bit over the course of 3 days. I found the best way to remove the cutouts were by doing it from the back side, so that way I could keep the frames taped together and then store it back in the case for the next time. And it's still there because I still have more cards to make. And here are two darling cards. This came from here and that piece came from there, so I was able to make two cards out of the same card base, and I decided to put a white background. All right, I want to show you some cards that I have made. I call them the Be Attitude note cards. Be still and know that I am God. I had some leftover cutout frames because I was doing something with them, and I decided to throw this together with some of my bees. Be still and know that I am God. And it's just to write a little note inside. Thanks for being you. You are inscribed on the palm of his hand. Take time to taste the honey. I made this honeycomb a little larger. The bees buzzing around. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. And these are just meant to write a little note. You are so beautiful to me. Just a note to encourage somebody. And perhaps the lady could give this to her man. Will you be mine? I know it's not Valentine colors, but I put a little Cupid and some hearts inside to encourage her to write a note. And I didn't know what to put on this one. I just wanted the yellow and the black and the white. He will never leave thee nor forsake you. Be happy because somebody is thinking of you and loves you very much. Sending smiles across the miles, the idea of the bee carrying the message, and carried it onto the next page. It's the smallest things that fill your heart. Just a little inspiration for the person to write a note to someone. Just a note to lift your spirits. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. And this one is crazy and wild. I did not like that bright color, and so I was trying to tone it down by adding the black frame, and then I added another black frame, so it's kind of a frame within a frame within a frame. To me, this card is like too busy. The colors are a little too strong, so I thought of busy. Yeah, busy as a bee. Let all that you do be done in love. Just, a note. We all know somebody who likes to constantly stay busy. I'm kind of that person. My name, Deborah, actually means busy bee. So I decided to put those together as a little set, and I'm going to include this card and information about my YouTube channel and all of the content. Actually, this is not all. This is only some of the content that you'll find on my channel. I'll put that in the box, and of course I will include envelopes. And so I've just made a little gift set of 9 bee cards, bee attitude cards. What do you think of that idea? So you can make gift sets out of your creations. You know what? I don't want that card on top. That card disturbs me. I think I'll just do all this backwards. Yeah. I think I want this card on top. Just because it just looks better. It looks more colorful and cheery and delightful. So I'll put that on top. And that'll be a little gift set. I still have this one I haven't fully developed yet. I just put be happy. And I really love the simplicity of the white cards. I have a few of those. Haven't put the bees on that yet. And I like to make the little bee trails just because it kind of wraps around the frame, and there could be many messages. And here's a few more that that one I haven't fully developed. This one I haven't developed. And then I still have cards. I still have 6 more cards to do something with. And I'll probably figure out some more, maybe some children's cards with Winnie-the-Pooh or something. But these cards were fun. They were a lot of fun for me to do. I enjoyed, and I might come up with some more bee ideas using the bees. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that perhaps it inspired you with some of your own ideas of what you can do with your leftover scraps. Just one more note. This paper that I was not happy with, I had bought a bunch of paper, probably from Walmart, and it's like just super thin. It's not cardstock, and the colors were really bright. I'm not happy with it, but this is like too flimsy. And because it's thin paper, I can see the type in the backside. So I'm going to have to cover this with white and white, which means I'm going to use extra paper, and I'm not happy about that. So consider that when you're buying paper, you want cardstock, because it's no good with these thin papers. I mean, you can use them for decorations on top and combining them, but as a card base, they're not good. And I'm just not a fan of really super bright colors. Although I do like this yellow with the black. Oh, and I forgot to mention what actually inspired me. Hold on. Forgot. There was one more card that I made, and this was actually my original plan. I wanted to have yellow, black, and white, and the reason is I have this fabric, and I saw this on my shelf, and I said, oh, I need to make a gift for one of my granddaughters. Her birthday's coming up. Her birthday's in the spring. I want to do something with the bees. And it was these colors why I had to have a yellow and black card, because this is her birthday card. It's sure to be a fun day. The bees are buzz because it's somebody's birthday, and they're coming to the birthday because it's your birthday. So it's all the color theme that I wanted, and that was the inspiration for these bee cards initially. But I did have fun with them, and I made a Valentine card for my husband. Since he's not home, I could show you. You are my honey. And I wrote a silly little poem, which I'm not going to read to you. But yes, I wrote a little poem for my husband, and he was the one who suggested when I was making the bees. I said, oh, I should make a honey pot. And he said, you should do Winnie-the-Pooh. So I made a Winnie-the-Pooh for my husband. He'll be surprised to get the Winnie-the-Pooh. He probably thought I'm doing it for the grandkids, which I am. I'll use the bee somewhere else, the bear somewhere else as well, and the honey pot. But anyways, yeah, when I was doing the last video, clearing out my desk and organizing and using up scraps, it was this right here that got me going. It started because I saw those papers. I saw these bee papers and the gold colors, and I said, oh, I could make a gift with this. I was thinking about maybe a summer dress or jumper or something, and I'll probably combine it with some white, maybe some black, maybe some yellow. I don't know, but I'm gonna make a cute little outfit, and the card will go with it. And that's what got me started on this whole thing. So when I made the last video, my thoughts were like, I can't wait to get to the yellow papers and the bee papers. I want to do something with bees. So sometimes you get inspired by something else, and that's exactly what happened, which led to making these cards. And the gifts that I created with the bee cards because I needed to come up with a gift to give somebody. Might as well use whatever it is I'm working on and what's inspiring me at the moment, turn it into a gift. So I hope you get inspired and come up with some ideas of your own. Thanks for watching.